Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're going to be talking about something somewhat intriguing, I guess that's been kind of brought up on very rare occasions when it comes to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and all these types of restocks on kind of like a somewhat separate issue besides just the pure American economy when it comes to consoles and restocks, but more so on the fact of why so many even American-based restockers and scalpers and botters are still trying their best to even buy out consoles, although sometimes the price points as of right now do kind of seem to be dipping down. This is going to be actually kind of an intriguing thing that will actually probably be plaguing the restocks for probably the next few months, especially until basically the stock for everywhere is all normalized besides just in America itself. And it's actually kind of somewhat of a concerning thing too, because we kind of covered this news maybe about like a year ago or so, and it still seems like it's pretty evident, pretty likely, and will keeps on happening over and over and over again. And as well, this also affects a lot of the American folks, because obviously if you guys are buying consoles, like botters and scalpers are buying consoles from the American base, that also kind of means that, well, that means other regions and other countries are basically taking American supply, which at the end of the day, like in a normal sense, I don't mind, but for this, for resellers and botters and basically just people trying their best to buy out stock, not so good. So we have a lot of stuff to go talk about as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream down below, the Webull and Coinbase down below, everything else down below, and let's go down with the video itself. So, one of the big issues for this is we've had a lot of scalpers and botters throughout these past few months, especially when it comes to restocks and when it comes to the channel. Now, that happens. No matter what, we're going to see scalpers. No matter what, we're going to see botters. But the one bigger thing is, where are a lot of these botters and where are a lot of these scalpers making a large majority of their profits? And this kind of gets to where it gets a little bit more on the intriguing side. We have covered this on the channel, though we have not talked about this in quite some time. But as I mentioned, now that like American prices do seem to be kind of going down a little bit more lower, it does kind of go to show that now we're seeing even more extra pressure on other regions. So think like China, think maybe Europe, think America, like South America, even Africa, obviously there's like rich people everywhere, Australia, and all these types of big regions, Japan, Korea, etc., etc. Because if you guys don't know, even Japan has a lot of, well, basically people scalping. If you guys come to China, people are trying their best to scalp. And that's a big issue. So one kind of big thing to note, and you guys may or may not have heard about this, one major thing is a lot of Chinese people, especially, not to bring in type of like, race, especially just in terms of facts, will actually be going and doing big investments in, say, to American real estate. So you maybe have like a Chinese multi-billionaire, and they'll go buy out empty buildings, they'll go buy out like huge apartment complexes, to the point where there's even places, say, in America or Canada or other really big, hot real estate markets that are not even necessarily being utilized or even lived in or even rented on out, just more so for the sake of either supporting their currency and trying to maintain it, or as well for appreciation, or just to go and kind of diversify up their own portfolios. So typically we've always had to deal with this kind of plague of other foreign investors buying things such as real estate, buying things such as, local stock, buying businesses, whatever it may go and be. And when it comes to consoles, there is no difference on that. So as I've mentioned many times before, thankfully, and well, maybe unthankfully, the PlayStation 5 price point for, say, the PlayStation 5 normal United States plug is typically not the world's worst price as of now. It did, like, funny enough, we had a video before where we saw the prices at around like a $600 range, like $602. That would be phenomenal if that still was the case. Although with these past 2 weeks of no restocks right here, you guys can instantaneously go and see right there, price points had a chance to bounce back up. But at least as time goes, like, we have the occasional bounce backs, but they usually do typically bounce down as time goes on. So good stuff with that, because at least the American base is going good. But I think the one part too of that is that other regions, and especially other like more kind of, I guess, bigger population areas, still need their consoles. Now, America and Europe have always been kind of notoriously one of the bigger and more widespread restocking locations. People know Americans like to spend money. They'll spend money on PS Plus, they'll buy new games on release, etc., etc. But as well, we have one very nifty thing with is just the United States console. So if you guys want to, say, try to factor in other things, say, like, is the Hong Kong PlayStation 5s. And of course, like the price point and street prices are actually quite a bit higher. We've had a big struggle because these price points are still quite a bit higher than expected when it comes to even third-party sales. Like, even just looking through like general websites, we're still seeing around $800. I think the usual market price, as of what we've seen so far from doing research, is still usually around $1,000. So as of right now, if you could be a huge botting group, and so you have a good connection with someone in China, or you guys don't mind like shipping stuff, or do like a more of a slightly bigger scale, which some of these botting groups actually do, unironically do this on a bigger scale, we can now be seeing folks, and especially probably throughout these next 6 months or so, on them basically going and selling consoles to other different regions, where they have a chance then to go and maybe profit an extra $300, $400, $500 per console. And now, people are still making money off of doing, like, scalping on PlayStation 5s. Like, normal PlayStation 5s themselves will be making, like, extra $200, $250, like $150, depending on, like, how long you want to wait, how much your local area has for sale, whatever. Like, we just know because I'm trying to help you guys get restocked, so you just see this stuff in passing. So when it comes to this stuff, that is, I think, one of the biggest plagues we have to worry about. Because right now, people do like to go and make money. It's kind of a big duh. And as well, if you can get those huge, large margins, let's go and say there's an Amazon drop, and you can go get 1,000 PlayStation 5 consoles. Now, that could be an extra $200,000, $300,000 just by that one initial restock alone. If you're buying, say, 1,000 consoles, you must have enough of the capital for it. But as well, at the same time, you also just have to have enough, enough either contacts or movement or payment as well to be able to go and sell to other different regions. So if you want to factor this on in, let's say to $1,000, say for China, like I said, you would still incentivize a lot of American-based botting groups and American-based or even European-based botting groups to keep on trying out and buying out as much stock as they can possibly go do in the first place, which is ridiculous to go and see. So that's a big issue because as of right now, this has still not been fully fixed. It's also kind of goes and ties into even other regions as well. Now, not on too much of a higher level up, sometimes like the Canadian PlayStation 5s are also on a slightly higher price point. They just have less restocks, and it's also a bit easier to, say, ship over to Canada versus, say, ship over to America. Same thing too as well, we've seen a lot of this plaguing, say, South America, where a lot of South American price points are actually, I think, even higher than, say, China's price points too as well. And this is why it kind of stinks, because a lot of scalpers obviously want to go make as much money as they can. But I think always the biggest issue has always been these big, huge, botting conglomerates that are able to go justify dropping $1 million on, say, 2 different various drops, buying out entire stores or buying out entire Amazon restocks, and then we awkwardly sit there waiting to just, go and get our own consoles. And this has kind of just been a big play because it's been ongoing for quite some time. It's not just like a recent occurrence, but I do think we're going to be noticing it even more and more and more now, because as more stock keeps on coming to a normal American basis, which is good, like America itself can maybe have their price points even keep on dipping down and down. Same with Facebook, same with eBay, same with StockX or whatever it is. And that, I think, is a phenomenal thing to see. We love seeing price points go down. But if other regions, such as China, such as Japan, such as Korea, still has these kind of, maybe even just rich people who don't mind paying the extra money for it, as long as they are still provident, and scalping is also still relevant in those other various locations, we're still going to have a lot of big stock constraints as well. As I mentioned, the United States has been pretty high up there when it comes to stock. They're pretty high up there in terms of the overall amount of stock, pretty high up there in terms of general stock, pretty high up there in terms of everything. Sony knows Americans are cash cows. And that's why it's a struggle. Because we have the normal scalping groups, you have the normal botting groups, and then you also have the next level huge international botting groups, which are even worse because they have the bigger extra capital and have been doing this for a while. If you can go and, like I said, turn $300,000, that's not good. That's a lot of extra money. And we don't like seeing that because that means we have less stock available. Now, this has also been somewhat happening to the Xbox Series X2 as well, although not as widespread, mainly just because the Xbox, a lot of people can just choose to have a PC gaming, and PC gaming GPUs, etc., have also still been in high demand. Don't get me wrong, although a lot of people usually like either mobile gaming or PC gaming, say in China, in India, etc., etc. And that's kind of it just kind of tones down the Xbox side. But the PlayStation also has the extra benefit where a lot of the United States consoles do not have regional restrictions. So you actually are able to pretty much play almost every single game, or as well even rock out VPNs. While in China, you basically have to have extensive, approval from the Chinese government to go and be able to go and sell certain games and make sure it kind of fits in line with the government itself. So that's also another huge extra benefit where people are able to go pay and want to pay extra money because they have access to more additional United States games, which in theory might not be as hardcore. So it's kind of been a struggle. Like, we are still seeing this. I'm not sure the best solution, but I want to go talk about it because it does stink that, well, we're going to still be seeing a lot of bots for these next few months almost regardless, even when the American baseline stock is all good because, well, other regions need consoles too. So want to give you guys some thoughts on this one and talk about it, as well as make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Amazon links down below for the PS5 Digital Console Controller, Twitter and Twitch stream down below, the Webull and Coinbase down below, the Twitter giveaway down below, everything else all down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Give me your thoughts and comments down below.